And we are live here on Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast, episode 141 here, joining you on a June 25th Sunday morning. Beautiful day out here in Northern California. And as you can see, we have a special guest with us. We got Chris over here from CP New York Sports Pod. Chris, how are we doing this morning out there in the East Coast?
Doing well. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you for having me on. This is going to be a fun one. So, been following you guys' stuff for a little bit now. Obviously, the last go around when I did some content, but it's always good to link up with you guys. And happy Sunday. It's a great day.
Casey, how are you doing down there representing the A's? I love that. We're still staying strong with it. How are we doing over there?
Doing good, my brother. You know, Sunday, glorious day. Waking up early, gonna go golfing today around noon. Probably shoot 120. Who knows?
Get your money's
But
worth.
I'll get some sunshine on my back, and I'll get my money's worth. So
There
yeah,
you go.
and then, chop it up with my buddy. We're going to the A's game actually on Tuesday, so we're gonna try and represent, see what's going on. But yeah,
Remember our theory. Make sure you try to get a seat before they close it. Even if you have to. Start loosening one, and we have a year to come back and get one at some point over there. So today on the show, guys, like I said, we're going to go a lot of different angles here with it. We're going to go some New York stuff, and we'll stay here in the Bay Area with some topics here. We'll do our usual thing. But Chris, let's kind of find out a little bit about you. I'm curious I know you said you're in DC right now, but just from a New York perspective, you're obviously involved. You do all the pods with us. You do the Mets post game. How do people become these fans? Like, so in the Bay Area, it's kind of there's an East Bay and a Bay, and that's how you become the A's and the Raiders. I'm kind of curious out in New York, is it like a Giants, Yankees, Rangers thing? Like, how does that all work out there?
So I'm a mixed bag. I'm a Mets Giants fan,
Yeah.
and if you're not from the area and you don't know any other Mets Giants fans, you'd be assuming that it'd be like a Yankees Giants and Mets Jets kind of thing. With basketball sprinkled in between. Obviously, you got the Nets now in Brooklyn, and that's a whole different topic of discussion. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the way that I started my fandom was I was a little bit late to the sports game in terms of when I was growing up. So I kind of had to mix and match a little bit, but I've been sticking with my teams ever since. But I'm from Queens originally, and right outside, 5 minutes outside of City Field, right down the LIE, and you still got a lot of Yankees fans over there too. It's just sort of the baseball history of New York. You got a lot of bandwagons wherever you go, and a lot of family ties too over there. So it all just depends over there. But yeah, my situation is a little bit different, of course, but yeah, it's a mixed bag wherever you go.
Casey, it's funny because in my head, I always thought just out here, right? You're always like Jets, Mets. They always have to go
Yeah.
together. That's how it always felt. But then
yeah.
I know it's just like we always have some A's and some Niners fans or like that. But that's kind of
There's
how
always those weirdos sprinkled in, right? And I happen to be one of them, Mets Giants. So
You're one of them on that case. All right. Hey, Chris, another thing I wanted to kind of get into is real quick. How long have you been doing the podcasting for?
So I actually was doing some sports content a couple of years back. I actually just schedule got a lot busier. I was going to school at the time, so I ceased that. But I've been doing this channel at CPNY Sports for a little bit, about a month and a half now.
Yeah.
So just fairly recent. So I'm looking to gain grow the channel back up. Obviously, on the last go around, the stuff that I did years back. I remember you all because I came across your page on my account now, and I was like, hey, I know those guys. Like I definitely remember seeing you guys. We were your channel, subscribed to your channel before, so I figured I'd reach out, and it's a small world. Funny how that works, right? But yeah, about a month and a half for me in my current channel right now.
That's awesome. So, like I said, go subscribe over there. CPN New York Sports. He's putting out stuff almost daily there, especially now with the Mets here, and he's got a lot to talk about with them, and we'll get them in a second. Chris, real quick from out there, what do you think about Chris Paul going to our Warriors for Jordan Poole? You're in the DC area. Jordan Poole is going to get 25 shots a game now up there. I'm a little suspect of it. Your thoughts, though, out there, sir?
I think it's a good trade for both sides, really. I'm not quite sure what your guys' opinions are on how CP3 fits for you all. I can't imagine he'd be, in the starting rotation out there. But I think the news came out was that the Warriors were actually planning on keeping CP3. It was sort of a question mark for me whether they're going to try to flip him. I was a little curious on the actual details of the trade, I know it was a first round Jordan Poole. It was a first round in 2030, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
A second round in 2027. And then CP3 over for Jordan Poole. I think that was the trade. If I'm misspeaking, please correct me. But I think it's a really good trade for the Wizards' perspective as well. Obviously, they're trying to mix up a lot of things over there. The GM is a little bit, all my Wizards fans out here, they're weary of him and his processes. But I think Jordan Poole will thrive. He's a volume shooter. Like he's going to get his shots up now. Obviously, Bradley Beal's gone. KP, obviously, we just saw recently get traded, is gone. Kuzma declining the player option. He's going to be gone in my perspective. I don't think they're going to re-sign him, but who knows? Maybe they might. But I think it's a really good trade for both sides. But that's why I was kind of wondering from your guys' perspective in terms of how he fits on the Warriors system. But I think that he's serviceable, a serviceable vet. Obviously, not going to be that main option on a championship contending team anymore. We saw that this past go around with the Suns. He wasn't available. So kind of curious to get your thoughts as well. But I think it's a good trade in theory for both sides.
Casey, go ahead.
So there's a few things that I thought about this trade. And at first I was like, God, I hate Chris Paul. Like through the years of playing with Houston and the Clippers and the whining and, it's just like, then he's on your team. You're like, well, I got no choice but to like him, right?
Exactly.
Excuse me. And then there was a few other factors or a couple others. I was like, I think Jonathan Kuminga is going to benefit from this, like, major. I mean, the lob threat, running a pick and roll with CP3, and expanded shooting maybe from this year, just growth-wise. So I think that's the play that's going to play a big role from that trade. And then the other part,
but do you really think that CP3 is going to help us this year? That's the thing I was arguing with Tyler. Tyler said it's going to be like a Sean Livingston. Tyler's does the podcast with us here, and I'm like, well, that's not going to be the case. He's 39 years old and he's always hurt. To me, ultimately, Case, we're not going to know about this trade till May, really, because that's what it all comes down to. Sure. But we gave up a 24-year-old who, I get it, he sucked last year. I mean, I'm putting that gently. Like, he was not good, but the year before he was good. I just don't like giving up good talent for guys that are done in 1 year. That's my thing looking forward at it.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, if you remember, though, Jordan Poole and Draymond Green did not exactly see. I mean, they did see eye to eye pretty much. So, I mean, at some point, I mean, Jordan Poole kind of got the bag. Draymond's up for a new contract. I mean, the Warriors could have given $25 million. Jordan Poole's making $32 million. The optics don't look too good on that. And then plus, when you expand, decrease the payroll, is like the luxury taxes have like gone in inflation right now. They're just really trying to stop these super teams. So I think that was part of the move as well. So I mean, all around.
On the court, though, real quick, how does he? Like, I'm a little worried, like with the system. Like Chris got to mention, how will he fit with the system? Like, is this going to be a thing where he's in the corner a little bit, like Rocket style, or is he going to be able to fit the ball movement style when he's used to just doing pick and roll? And Tyler's like, again, he goes, well, they can just play pick and roll and put Curry and Thompson, or in the corners. But it's like, how small can you go? I mean, like, there's always so small you can play these teams too. So I don't know that.
I mean, it does sound like it does sound like a sexy lineup to close the game with Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green. So
that's a small ass lineup, though.
But it's a very talented lineup too.
It's a talented offensive lineup, no doubt.
I hear you on that. But I said what I had to say, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I get you on it. So you do like it then for the 1 year move then?
Yeah, I do.
All right. I guess I'm going to be pushing back on it. I'm going to be the guy. But it was funny. You did bring up a few points about could they trade him too. That is possible with getting him. He does have that contract with the $30 million that obviously in NBA is like gold, like a 1 year, $30 million contract you can give away at the trade deadline is gold. So that's the Warriors perspective. Also out here as an older Warriors fan, Mike Dunleavy, now the GM, it's always a little hesitant when he's making trades as well, Casey. It's probably a selfish reason to be on it. I'm interested to see, though, how Jordan Poole does out there in your DC area, though, Chris. Hey, what's up with your Knicks, though? To me, they seem stuck. Doesn't mean they're bad. They're just now like, they get the 5 seed this year? Right was the 5 seed? And they lost to the Cavs, or they beat the Cavs, excuse me, then lost to the Heat in the second round there. But where do you stand on the kind of the state of them right now? I've been following your tweets. It sounds like you don't want Zion. I mean, he's probably not even available. Ayton, maybe I've heard that you might like. There's George out there. I don't know. Where are you kind of at the state of the Knicks right now?
Like, you know, obviously Nick's Twitter is a mixed bag. I'm not sure if you've seen it, anybody on Nick's Twitter, but if you're not in it, I suggest you stay away. It's sort of a crapshoot. But listen, I like what we're doing. I think we're heading in the right direction, obviously, to where we want to be at. Let's face it, we haven't had much success since the Mellow days, right? So if
Yeah.
we get into the second round, I'm always going to take that sort of success. Obviously, Julius Randle faltered in the playoffs yet again. Uh, you got a mixed stance on Nick's Twitter, whether they want to let go of Julius Randle, find a trade suitor for him, or keep him and have him be hopefully a third option at some point behind
Where do
Brunson
you
and
stand on
whoever.
Randall, Chris? Seems like a very polarizing
Oh,
player out there.
I like Randall a lot. Do I think
Yeah.
he's a second option on a championship winning team? I do not. But I think that he's a serviceable third option, and he's a gritty player. He'll play, and he'll play injured if he has to, and he'll give you. Obviously, he didn't play all 82 this year, but he's a workhorse. He
Yeah.
stays on the court, and he toughens it out, and that's what I like. And that's not something we don't see every day from NBA players nowadays. You look at Zion. When is he really on the court for more than 70 games, right? I
Never.
mean, it's early on in his career, I get it, but even veterans like Kawhi's been doing it for a while, and just a bunch of stars who now go and whether it's injury related or they just need the night off. But Tibbs, I'm not sure if you all know Tibbs' style, but he runs his players into the ground. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure. But Julius Randle's up to the task. And I know Tibbs and Julius Randle have that relationship. So I don't see them moving on. I would 100% be on board with keeping Julius Randle. But like I said, it gets to the point of, do we run it back with the same team? I don't think that's plausible to do. You want to see the growth, but I'm also not desperate to get a star that's not going to be available on the court. Paul George has his injury concerns as well. Bradley Beal was another guy that Nick's Twitter was talking about. He doesn't stay on the court. He hasn't played more than 60 games since the 2018-2019 season. So it's always a sort of desperation sort of feel with Knicks fans, and let's get a star. Let's get a star like right now. Let's mortgage the picks that we have. We got abundance of first round picks going forward, but I'd like to do it in a deliberate way. And let's face it, the Levine news came out. Clutch Sports and CAA. Leon Rose is a CAA representative. There's some sort of beef going on over there, where the camp said that they don't want Levine going to the Knicks.
That's what I heard.
So it's also sort of a thing with the Mets and Knicks not really being easy to deal with. I mean, let's face it, it's a big market, and it just seems like there's some sort of league wide quote unquote tax when dealing with them. So I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's how I feel. But we got to do something. I'm curious about the money with Josh Hart and Emmanuel Quickly, two guys that we're going to need to be paying soon. So that's another conversation topic as well. But I'm confident in the Knicks moving forward to next season. I think what we saw out of Jalen Brunson last season, he's only going to get better. And we finally found that true foundation at point guard that we've needed for so long. So I'm really excited for next season.
I gotta find your point about like the Knicks not. I mean, it's kind of like one of those classic cases where they're just always trying to get the next guy instead of letting the process go. And that's where I feel like they're at right now, right? You're at the 5 seed. You really don't have any contracts that avail. Like you can't really get George or Ayton or any of those guys without giving up a big contract. So it's like you're not going to add on to Randall and Brunson, with a big contract. So I'm kind of with you. Just run it, play it again with Randall. I know he can be, it seems like, and I've watched him, he seems like he could be a frustrating player to watch at times. But like you said, he plays hard, so you're always going to like that part of him. I would just, like you said, I'd run it out with him again. And then when his contract gets lower, that's when you might be able to trade him a little bit more, a little easier in that regard. Case, what do you think of what he said there about the Knicks?
Well, the first thing, Chris, I took away, I was like, man, I feel as being an old Warriors fan, a second round success sounds so bad sometimes, right? Like I remember when the Warriors and they played the Spurs, and Darren will remember this like yesterday. Ginobili hits that 3 after the Warriors were up by like 15 or 12 going into the fourth, and you're just like, God, here we go again. You start winning championships, they don't make it to the finals. It's a disappointing year. So it's kind of like, but then to speak about Julius Randle going forward, I think Nick kind of built like almost like they had that Brunson, which, I'm not comparing the D-Wade, but then you got a Randle that could be like a Chris Bosh. And then you just need to find that superstar, right? I mean, I think that's the big cog that's missing.
I mean,
But
Brunson surprises the hell out of me every time I watch
no,
him.
no, and he's a fantastic player. Like, I mean, he took it to a whole nother level, and Dallas asked them how they feel about that. I mean, you could tell Luka was hurting. He was just like, "Where's my boy? Where's my guy? Like, I need that backcourt mate." So I don't think the Knicks are actually that far off. I think they just, you'd need either a team like the Heat had, but which proved throughout the finals, you need more than one superstar. It's hard to compete in this NBA if you don't have two legit, almost 1A, 1B guys. And if
Casey,
you
you
have a guy,
mentioned another backcourt mate. How about this guy Tyler brings up, RJ Barrett? Will he ever be able to put it together?
I mean, he made big strides. I seen some growth from him. His assertiveness, definitely, like when I was watching the games, he seemed a lot more confident. His three balls seemed, just the way he was shooting it, more confident. The willingness to take over a game and have that confidence to not really care. I thought it was kind of part of the Duke days. And so I think they have the right pieces. And I think Thibodeau is the right coach. It's just he's going to burn guys out in 5 years. So they better get those players soon.
I saw a funny stat when I was getting ready for the pod. Like, he loves centers too. I think who's the backup to Mitchell Robinson, the white guy there?
Hartenstein.
They played it was like out of 528 playoff minutes, they played 518. So Casey's guy, Obi Toppin, gets no love out there. My brother's a big.
I didn't want to bring him up because that's bad.
Yeah, that's a whole nother news topic within itself. That situation got a little ugly, but they just signed his brother to a two-way deal.
I saw that.
We'll see what happens.
What do you think about RJ there, Chris?
So he was a guy that Casey was saying we need that big dog. He was comparing the Miami Heat kind of LeBron era there to kind of our players right now. And when we drafted RJ, with that third pick, I thought that in a couple years' time, maybe he might be that guy, that superstar that we need to kind of put it together. But he really hasn't been that. It's inconsistency for me. He's inconsistent. He'll shoot the ball lights out. He always starts seasons off slow. That's his mantra. Starting off the first couple months slow. We're all wondering what's going on here. Is he going to be on the trade block? Get him out of New York, and then he starts to heat up. He starts to feel a little bit, and it just goes that way. I don't know. Obviously, he's still young, 22, 23 years old, but the sample size that we've seen from him so far, I think, is enough to say that he's not going to be a superstar type player. I don't want to make that assumption too quick. I'm not saying that if we let him go for that star, he's not going to become that somewhere else. But what I will say is, in terms of a trade for RJ Barrett, I need the right guy coming back in return. I would like to see RJ stick it through with the Knicks and have him figure it out in New York. But like Casey said, if we have that player on the table that we need to make room for, and RJ's on a 4-year, $100 million contract as well, so that's about $25 million a year there for him as well, movable contract. If there's a right guy that comes on the trade block and someone calls up the Knicks saying, hey, we need RJ, Donovan Mitchell was one of those players back this past offseason. Didn't happen, obviously, but I don't want to be desperate and let RJ go for a guy like, I'm not going to even say any names, but just like, maybe PG, with his availability. But if there's the right guy out there and I'm confident in that, he could take us to the next level, you gotta send it, because RJ Barrett is a question mark up until this point, but I do see that ceiling for him. So I'm not gonna call it quits on his career just yet in terms of how far he can go. I just don't know if he's going to be that 1 or 2 option like the Knicks really, really hoped for when they drafted him, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I feel like RJ Barrett's almost like a Harrison Barnes. I think he's that 23-point scorer. He gets on a team by himself. He can maybe average 26. But
the team's not winning, obviously.
Yeah.
That's a good comparison, actually. I like that comparison.
I was thinking you might. I hear rumors because you have you guys might end up with our boy here that played for the Warriors last year, DiVincenzo. It sounds like there's a strong likelihood he might sign with. Was it go Villanova Knicks over there?
Villanova Knicks.
Is Eric Pascal going to join the team?
Hey man, I like DiVincenzo though. I think he's a good shooter. Obviously, his sample size shooting. I mean, he really turned it on last year. But the Knicks need outside shooting. Like we need it really badly.
You guys don't play fast at all either. You guys play
What
really
was that?
slow. You play at a slow pace, so you're going to have to be able to make shots from the 3-point line.
Well, and that's Julius Randle, and that's a discussion between Julius Randle versus Obi Toppin. Obviously, the Knicks are a run and gun team with Quickly and Obi Toppin running the floor on the second team, and then Julius Randle kind of slowing up the court, half court offense. Let's set up. Let me post up on the elbow, feed me the ball, and let me do what I got to do with it. And that's where Knicks fans kind of get frustrated with Julius Randle, and I get it. But yeah, completely. DiVincenzo would be a great addition to this team, I think.
I always think about Obi Toppin in a trade, like get him to the Warriors somehow. I'd love to see him like running those lobs baseline with Draymond. Of like, who can we give up for? I was thinking we could do Poole and something like that for the Knicks and maybe get something, but that ended up not working out.
You know, it's a trip sometimes when I watch the Knicks, like their best lineup sometimes just because it's a faster game now in the NBA is like you watch Quickly play with Obi Toppin, and then you got RJ Barrett, and then you got Hartenstein who does the dirty work, and then you just have that whoever Hart coming in. It's just like the old Knicks ball that you love, where it's just run and gun, rebound, brick shot, like 8-0 run. You're like, what the hell? No one scored for 3 minutes, but we're up by 8.
Have you ever been to a game?
That's actually. What was that?
I was just saying, have you ever been to a game there? At the Garden?
No, I haven't been to MSG, man. I need to go out there. I haven't been to MSG. The environment just looks electric, but I haven't got the chance to go to MSG yet. But unfortunately, but that to Casey's point, that second lineup, I just want to just sort of end the RJ discussion with here. RJ Barrett plays better in that second lineup. He plays more confident with those guys than he does with Julius Randle. That's something that I saw all season long. I think it's something to monitor. I think that is a really important piece of ultimately, I think they're still going to try force RJ Barrett and Randle to work together, but he plays much better on that second unit, 100%.
No doubt.
We'll go from go a little bit off the Knicks here, but we'll go to the East. We'll still stay in the East here. I got some 3 quick give and go questions here. What team do you think benefited more? Marcus Smart going to Memphis. So what, you think Memphis benefits a little more, or Porzingis going over to the Celtics? What team do you think does it benefit a little bit more there? Chris, what do you think?
I'm not too high on the Grizzlies, unfortunately. So I'm not sure how big of an addition Marcus Smart's going to be to get them to where they want to be. Obviously, they had a disappointing go at it this past playoffs for many reasons. But the Boston Celtics are a little bit more solidified. Obviously, had a good year last year. They just couldn't put it together against Miami. But I think Kristaps. My final answer would be Kristaps to Boston. I'm curious on how that dynamic's going to work. Yeah. I'm curious about the Jaylen Brown situation as well. I think Jaylen Brown, that fit with Boston isn't a good one for him personally. So I want to monitor that. But I think KP really turned it on. But another guy, like I said, the whole topic of discussion here with the NBA is availability. Is Kristaps Porzingis going to be available for that team when they need him most? But I will say right now at the surface level, plus they got the 2 first-rounders in that trade too for Marcus Smart, which is a little bit ridiculous to me. But I think Kristaps going to Boston will benefit them more.
Case, what's your hunch there? Grizzlies benefit more from Smart or Celtics there from Porzingis?
I thought about this in 2 different ways. Kristaps is, I think, one of the most effective post players in the NBA. So, which you wouldn't really think about, but he can also shoot the 3 ball. And as we know, Al Horford was terrible in the playoffs from 3. So I think that's going to benefit the Celtics. On the flip side, I think the Grizzlies just made an Andre Iguodala move that the Warriors made. Maturity, leadership, which John Morant and the Grizzlies need desperately right now. And Marcus Smart is one of the best leaders, I think, in the NBA right now, a professional to the fullest. So I think the Grizzlies will take a step like in maturation, and I think that will benefit them in the long run. Here now, I think Boston made a big move just getting Kristaps.
Yeah, I kind of lean towards Memphis a little bit too because obviously the Porzingis injury history, and I just don't know. There's something soft about him a little bit for me. And it's not, I don't know. There's something there. I have to see a little bit more dogged if I think in that playoffs for me to buy into him a little bit. I've seen that with Smart. Case. Next question here: will Damian Lillard be a Blazer his whole life? Looks like he never goes. Is he going to be there?
Yeah, why would he leave? He
could go to a better team and want to win a championship.
He can do no wrong at this point. If he doesn't win a championship, it's not his fault. He didn't have the players around. The organization didn't support him. If he leaves, then it's like, he went for that chasing the
Even at this
championship.
point, being there for 13 years.
Dude, you can ask my buddies, which I randomly, talking about random fans, my buddy is a diehard Portland fan, and he just loves Damian Lillard. He can do no wrong. He is the Steph Curry for the Warriors. He'll blame everyone else but Damian Lillard. So he's good.
He cares that he's shooting half-court shots. It doesn't matter.
I'd rather have him shooting than like half the guys that draft from Gonzaga.
So you think he'll be there his whole career? He'll never get out. Not even at the end. He'll go Miller to the end. I'm just curious, Chris. What do you think?
I think he's going to be gone. I mean, inevitably, this is turning into a situation like we just saw with Bradley Beal. They finally let him go. Maybe a little bit more extreme to this point. Listen, Portland's not in a situation where they need Dame. And honestly, that contract's pretty atrocious. So I'm not really sure how the money will work in terms of if they're going to need to take on some salary from that hit. But I was curious, do you all know if Dame has a no trade clause? Because that could be a factor as well in terms of this negotiation and this process. Because ultimately, I think he's gone. I don't know if we'll see it this season, but I think he'll end up somewhere.
You know what? I'm not sure if he does, but I feel like with those type of players, I'm gonna say I don't know, but my guess is with him, it almost doesn't matter because he's such a veteran. I don't think they would screw him over. Like I don't feel like they would in that regard. But I hear you. That might change a few things.
They should have a no trade clause.
Because I think if they're like, hey, we'll send you to what, like Orlando or something like that. He's probably not going to go, even though they're a young team.
Yeah, I think he has an NTC. Most of those contracts, when they have like that Supermax deal, include the no trade clause. So
I think as soon as
he doesn't have one.
I think as soon as they drafted Zach Collins, he got that. So.
Send him to the Kings. Zach Collins.
Hey, the King. What's your guys' opinion on the Kings? I know you guys are the West Coast guys. I like the Kings brand of basketball. I love that team right now.
Our boy Tom Witt. We had him out of here. Yeah, our sister lives in Sacramento. We went to we used to go to a game every year when they opened the new arena. I mean, we were super pumped for the series this year because they had never met in the playoffs before, the Kings and the Warriors, and they're an hour away from each other. I think the Kings are in a great position. I mean, the fact that they got Fox and Sabonis, they at least now have stable players. And I really like Murray, right? I think Murray's a really good player. And then Mike Brown's a hell of a coach. And they're starting to make smarter decisions as a GM. And now they have a little money if they spend it right this offseason. Maybe they'll pluck Draymond from the Warriors. There's talk of that. I think the Kings are kind of really exciting. They gave the Warriors everything this year.
It was an exciting series. That was an exciting series, man. I was kind of dogging on them a little bit after that Halliburton trade. I didn't kind of see the vision there, but they knocked it out of the park.
Well, Sabonis is to me he played on the Pacers and Thunder and stuff, and I got to see him out here in Gonzaga, and big man that you could put up at the high post. I'm a fan of.
Yeah, and it's kind of similar. Like, it's funny. I always bring stuff back to the Warriors, but the culture changes. Like when they traded Monte and then they got Bogut in, and you just you can't have two small guards. I mean, look at what the Blazers with Dame, CJ McCollum and Dame. It just doesn't work. You have to have a guy like Thompson, 6'7", or just a wingman and then a big. That's just how the NBA works nowadays.
I mean, you better have some big guys down there that can protect those small guys, like elite. All right, so Lillard, that's the case for Lillard. Here's my last give and go here. I got just real quick here, guys. Do you think Chet Holmgren could have a better rookie or have a better rookie season than Victor? All the hype, Chet. And a lot of people forget about Big Chet coming from Gonzaga. Case, what do you think? Is there a chance?
There's a reason why you forgot about him. Yeah,
LeBron hurt him.
I'm taking Victor all day, man. They're gonna give him every chance in the world. Like, hey, he's the NBA. How they bring in superstars, they do it way different than NFL, NHL, just anything. They're going to try and feed this guy as much as they can and make him just an absolute superstar because that expands the global everything for the NBA. So I think he's gonna be. Yeah,
you see the funny video that came out about him missing the shots and warm-ups, and people are like, he stinks. I'm like, the man's 7'4", and he doesn't have to shoot outside and dunk it. He never has to do anything outside of that.
He's not Dario. Come on.
Chris, you got a little hunch? Chet, is there any chance? Come on.
No, man. No, it's Victor all day. I'm going with Casey as well on this one. It's gonna be Victor. That situation for the Spurs is gonna be one where he's gonna be that guy immediately, and he's gonna be, getting the bulk of the touches, and like you said, expanding the game globally. Obviously that's the name of the game now. Obviously Jokic is kind of setting that tone right now. Giannis did the same thing in their respective countries. But yeah, it's gonna be Victor, and I think Chet will have a decent career if he stays on the court. But when you're that tall and that skinny, and same goes for Victor, he needs to stay healthy too. But it's hard when you have that kind of stature. But they need to beef up a little bit too. I think that's something that they need to work on as well.
For our Hey Arnold fans out there, Chet looks like Stinky Peterson from Hey Arnold. So Tyler agreed that one. He does. He has a thin. Maybe he's buffed out. I haven't seen him in a while. Maybe he's come back a little bigger there. Real quick here, I always like to do a little history here. All-time Warriors-Knicks trades. They got some good history here between them, making some trades with each other. We can go all the way with Latrell Sprewell. That's the famous one. He gets traded after the choke incident there with our guy PJ. He gets traded, Casey. Do you remember these names that the Knicks sent to the Warriors? I mean, Chris Mills, John Starks, and Terry Cummings. Unbelievable. The three guys. Some famous ones right there. So,
I remember that because that was like when the movie Ed came out with Whoopi Goldberg, and I was like, we got John Sally with the knee pads.
John Sally. So that was a funny trade looking back at that one. A little random one here. The Warriors acquired Jamal Crawford for Al Harrington. A little random Knicks Warriors trade. And then one of our favorites, it was technically a sign and trade. July 2010, the Warriors acquire David Lee from the Knicks. And the Warriors give up Turioff, Randolph, and Azubuike, who's now the announcer for the Warriors. So not much given up for David Lee, who was a big part of the Warriors turning things around.
Winning.
And then we got, for our old school fans, one that helped the Knicks. We had the Warriors traded the Knicks traded Michael Ray Richardson, who ended up playing 33 games for the Warriors, for Bernard King, who's obviously a famous Knicks player. So not a good trade for the Warriors. And there was one other one in 1971, but I didn't record it. I know Lucas, the name, but I don't know it. So those are some kind of fun trades. I was like, those are some kind of big trades, other than maybe the Crawford Harrington one. Some big names, some swing players there. So
I like Crawford, man.
Yeah,
I like Crawford. I'm a big Jamal Crawford fan.
He was the ultimate, like, no defense, right? But that guy could get 30 points like it was nothing at times. He was on the handles for sure. All right, let's get to our question of the week here. We go to a little baseball here, brought to you by Row One Brand. Use that code VSP15. Help us out over at Variety Sports Network. Subscribe to the channel. That would help us, but help our guys over at Row One Brand. Like I said, they got paintings. They got ticket stubs out there. Good artwork there. So be sure to go check that out. Question of the week here. We know you're a big Mets guy. We did a 30-minute podcast reminiscing about the A's last week. So we want to get some Mets stuff. We like history on it. Who are some of your favorite Mets players of all time? Maybe, like, if you have some moments you want to throw out there too, but you got some players that just kind of random, great, anything.
Sticking with my era, David Wright, Jose Reyes. You can't go wrong with those two guys. Jose Reyes, for me personally, my all-time favorite Met. The electricity that he brought to the diamond, switch hitter as well, shortstop. Number 7 is my favorite number for a reason. Big Jose Reyes guy. David Wright speaks for itself. All-time Met. You can go into guys like Piazza. I wasn't obviously around for the 86 run. Wish I was, with the way things are going right now. But I met Doc Gooden actually a couple years back. Great guy, really nice guy. So Doc Gooden, you got to throw him on that list. And then you can keep on going on and on with the history. But I say those guys I named for sure are some of my favorites.
The first one
Jose Reyes, bar none.
That's awesome.
Jose Reyes, number 1.
I like Jose Reyes. He's always a top pick in fantasy back in the day, too. He was always a top pick fantasy for that reason. My A was Miguel Tejada for the same reasons, the electricity he brought at shortstop. So I could see that Jose Reyes was definitely up there as one of my favorite players as a Mets guy. Case, you got a few out there?
Yeah, definitely was one. He came over from the Mets to the Bay was Kevin Mitchell. Yeah, he was pretty cool. I got to see him too. We had like a little I don't know if you call it a minor league team, but he played at Sonoma County Crushers. I think only NorCal would maybe know this, but so I got to see him at the very end of his career. But and then it's kind of weird because like we grew up in a different era. I'm 36, Darren, I think a little older, but the one that I remember, like it was kind of like a different type of player, and I think he ended up playing. I think for the Blue Jays was John Olerud for a minute.
Oh yeah, John Olerud.
So,
It's so funny you brought him up. He's actually going to be at the All-Star game this year because the 2001 Mariners are bringing.
And I was always confused because he was the only starting lineup that would have like two different helmets, and it was, like, it was weird. Like, I don't know if anyone knows starting lineups here.
Yeah, the little figures there. That's good knowledge there. Tyler brought up Edgardo Alfonso there. Yes, he played for the Giants as well. Tyler also, I loved watching Ray Ordonez play defense. He was obviously could not hit himself out of a wet paper bag, but he definitely could pick it over there. Who was the second baseman at that time? Was it Edgar? I feel like they had a decent second baseman at that time, but I can't think of it. Help me out, next Mets Nation, if you're out there. I got some fun with. For me, I don't know why Todd Hudley always comes to my mind when I think of the Mets. He always like the cat, like he was a switch hitter catcher. I think because he had that 40 home run season or something like that back in the day. So he's like one that always comes to my name when I think Mets. I always think Shea Stadium. I mean, just the stadium. I love that big right field scoreboard. That thing always sticks out to me. Obviously, Piazza's home run versus the Braves. I love their uniforms, the stripe home uniform. That's one of my favorite uniforms in the major league. So I always think about the Mets for that as well. And me and Casey, before you got on, I was like, who's that damn the damn left fielder who robbed the Cardinals guy? What's his name out there? And Casey came out with it randomly. Andy Chavez, I believe.
Andy Chavez.
Dude, that play will forever live in my mind. I know they lost the game, but that play, I'm just like, can you have any more clutch of a catch? Like that to me is like the clutchest catch I've ever seen. And the fact that he hung on to the ball, his wrist like dislocated at that.
That was impressive. That was a heartbreaker game, man. That's some bad memories there.
Well, I'm sorry about to bring that, but that was a good catch. I'm gonna say
the one guy.
It was a great moment.
Actually, I think is iconic in New York. Just Mets history is. I think we need Bobby Valentine.
Oh yeah,
I mean, the fake mustache.
That is iconic.
Back in the game after he gets ejected. That was
legendary,
classic.
Ventura, that's a good one as well. I remember Ventura when the Giants just had opened Pac Bell Park. That's what it was called at the time. And he went, I mean, he was the first guy that went deep in that little right center out there. It was like he must have hit it 420. It was a bomb. And I was like,
the only thing I think of Robin Ventura is getting his ass kicked by Nolan Ryan.
And what was the thing? I remember he got pissed. I think this is a good moment for you. He beats the Braves. I think got a grand slam, but they tackle him when he rounds first base, and he didn't get credit for the grand slam. He only got credit for the single there. So I think that was always. I remember him like telling the guy, "Go, go," and they tackled him there. So that's fun looking back at some Mets history there. With it, you got some great names there, man. With looking back at it, but with that said, you got some names now that are underperforming, my friend, and. What's going on? I mean, I was a believer in you. I said last week on my seventh inning show that I'm kind of starting to think Philadelphia is now past you guys and who I'm believing to push the Braves, or maybe not even push the Braves, just make the wild card, I guess, because you guys are like maybe 6 back, 7 back of the wild card, I think, at this moment. I don't know, man. What's the issue with them this season? Obviously, their owner went all out. It's not working right now.
I don't think the payroll is indicative of the roster talent that was actually there. It was a talented team. It should have been a contending team, no doubt. Obviously, we're not contenders. I'm just going to say that right now. It starts with the pitching, man. I mean, it was a tough situation to replace DeGrom. Obviously, a situation is what it is now with the Rangers out for the season. It's kind of a career scare there for him, but they had to replace him with somebody, right? And Verlander was pretty much the only guy in the market, minus maybe Carlos Rodon, who hasn't thrown for the Yankees yet either. So it was sort of a situation where they needed to replace, the star of New York, Jacob deGrom, leaving, and it was, the reigning Cy Young. You go get that's pretty good, right? But
yeah.
They're simply not performing to the back of their baseball cards. I've been saying it with my buddy Nelson at Amish Country Mets Fan when we do our post-game lives. It's kind of a repetitive thing on our lives now. It's just like, well, we can sit here and talk about the losses, X and O's all day, but these guys aren't performing to the back of their baseball cards. Obviously, we got 2 Hall of Fame pitchers at the top of our rotation. Scherzer threw a gem his last couple outings as well, so shout out him for doing that. But, I mean, Verlander's has been very inconsistent. The hitting's been on and off as well. I think it does start with the pitching. The bullpen's taxed. You throw in some Buck Showalter questionable managing decisions as well in there, and it's just a sprinkle. It's the right storm to just make a disappointing season. It's the perfect storm that's happened. Everything that could have gone wrong for the Mets so far has pretty much gone wrong for the Mets so far. And it's really interesting to say that because, yeah, I think we're about – last time I checked, we were 8 games back. We beat the Phillies yesterday, so hopefully we're 7 games back now. It gets an interesting sort of topic of whether we're going to be sellers, buyers going into the trade deadline. Obviously, that's coming up. I think August 1st is the deadline.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they extended that this year. But we saw the Eduardo Escobar trade go down a couple days ago. We'll see what happens. But it's been the perfect storm of players, of inconsistencies. Pete Alonso struggling now as well the last 2 months. Everyone talks about Lindor batting average. It is what it is. He's getting paid $340 million contract, 341, excuse me. He's hitting 221, but Pete Alonso, he's got the 23, 24 bombs, 51 RBIs apiece for those guys in the middle of the lineup, but they're just not putting it all together to not being consistent, and that's been the issue for the Mets is consistency.
Casey, I sense frustration with his team. We've been there, down that. And I think he's got legit frustrated. It's funny from a distance. I kind of I listen to a lot of your games on the radio randomly because for some reason I do like your play-by-play. So I'll listen to a lot of your games on there, and it just sounds like I said I agree with it, but it also sounds like you guys have very timely, like you said, mistakes. Like the other day with that drop pop up and that. Lindor's the one for me though. I mean, you talk about a guy that has fallen off the mat. I know he kind of bounced back a little bit last year, but the 2 in between here, I mean, you're talking like awful. I mean, he's got to be the wrath of all Mets fans right now.
Yeah. There's you got Bonilla on there too.
That's a good
one name we didn't mention, but for obvious reasons,
yeah, who?
The ultimate Met there. But yeah, no, 100%. Lindor's definitely had his struggles since coming over in that trade. Mets Twitter does get on him a lot, and I think it's warranted. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's not underperforming. But yeah, and you can look at the contract all day long. The shortstop market is what it is. You see all the shortstops.
Yeah.
Trey Turner got a bag too. Corey Seager, who's doing really well, got a bag. And shortstop market is what it is. The Mets kind of needed to cough up that money for Lindor. Obviously, underperforming in general. Obviously, in the first couple seasons as a Met, had a decent year last year, right? I mean, RBIs, he hit 26 bombs. The average was up there. I think it was about 260, 270, somewhere around there for Lindor. But yeah, the 2 in between years now, especially right now. It's frustrating. It's not just Lindor. I will put on everybody, but yeah, Lindor has been a disappointment so far. I love the way he plays defense. His splits, righty versus lefty, obviously he's a switch hitter, way better right-handed hitter. There's an interesting discussion about whether Lindor should just pull the Cedric Mullins move. Obviously, Cedric Mullins sticking with the left-handed side of the batter's box. Lindor should just do that from the right side. I don't think it happens. But yeah, Lindor is an integral piece of this team. He's going to be here for a while. We're talking about trades going in and out. That's one guy who's going to be staying here. So we really need him to turn it around for sure.
You said something so fascinating to me. He had a decent batting average at 267. I'm just saying,
that doesn't happen very often.
In the 90s, like a 300 would, it'd be like, that's,
yeah,
290.
And that's
baseball's changed though.
Yeah, baseball's changed, and the advanced analytics, and a lot of people don't put too much weight on the batting average anymore. Yeah. And I'm sort of an in-between kind of. My perspective is a little bit in between on that. I still think it matters to a degree, but like you said, baseball's changed the way they look at these stats and they measure these players. You obviously got your WARs, your F-WARs, your OPSs, your WRC pluses, all that good stuff, all those stats to measure a player now. But yeah, the average is what it is. Not pretty, but so 260, 270 nowadays will take it.
No, and I think if you're hitting in that 1-2 slot, I expect the average to be higher. But if you're in that 3 to 7 range, I think that's all right. You know what I'm saying? Because if you want to be the leadoff, either that or you draw a lot of walks. It's got to be one of the two. So I mean, the Mets. I think they're going to be. I don't know.
Do you think they're done then, or do you think they make a second half run?
What's that deal?
You think they make a second half run?
I mean, the NL, the Reds just got off their 12-game win streak, which is kind of incredible. I mean, the Angels just absolutely destroyed the Rockies last night, which was incredible. So I think the NL is kind of wide open right now at this point. I mean, you have the same old suspects, but, you never know with injuries and, baseball's a weird sport. It's a marathon.
And that's why I want to pick you up a little bit, Chris. I think they still could make a little run here. I think you said that best. Scherzer showed a little lie. It does happen to me. There is a chance you could go out of like an 8-game win streak. So I do got to shout out real quick my guy here, Seawood, out in Alabama, tuning in here this morning. Appreciate it. He does a great job on his show. He brought up Bobby Bonilla. I should have brought up Bobby Bonilla because he's going to get paid $1 million here in a couple of weeks on July 4th or whatever that is. So he's a great one to bring up there. So appreciate you tuning in here this morning. We got our guy here, Chris from the New York Sports Pod. We're talking a little Mets, kind of giving him a little therapy at the moment, just to kind of work through it a little bit here with the Mets struggling. The Braves obviously are ahead in that division there. I still think, sir, there's a run out there for him. I still think they can make a late run. My guy Ant out there in Memphis, he's a Mets fan. I always get his updates on there. I think he maybe believes a little bit, but it seems like as a Mets fan, you're kind of built to be a little pessimistic as well.
Yeah, it's always a mixed bag with that. Yeah, we can make a wild card run, pull a Phillies from last year, but that division is certainly under wraps in terms of, the Marlins are doing well too. Can we talk about the parity in the game now? You got the Reds doing well. The Pirates have done, decently. And there we go. Look at that.
Let's transition. What do you think? Who has a better chance of winning? And we can talk about other stuff. Giants or Reds? Because obviously the Giants are really hot right now. They're putting pressure on the Diamondbacks. If they sweep them today, I think they're a half game out. And then you got the Reds that Casey said we're just on a 12-game winning streak. Who do you think maybe has a better chance of winning that division there?
NL Central is pretty bad, so I'm going to give the edge to the Reds. What they're doing is incredible right now. The NL West, I mean, look at the NL West, the Diamondbacks. I mean, what's going on here? We're just talking about the Mets and potentially not even making the playoffs. We're sitting here talking about Reds and your Giants. Obviously, we could talk about. We have some. Are you a Giants fan, by the way? I didn't ask you.
Not my Giants. Not my Giants.
No, yeah, I think Darren, you're a Giants fan, or
no?
Casey's?
My buddy Tyler, who's on here with the beard, is a Giants fan. We are
Tyler's a Giants fan. Okay, got it. So, yeah, the Giants are an interesting team. There's some similarities. If Tyler's still listening, we got the Correa deal falling through for both teams. Obviously, you guys got X-Men. Michael Conforto. JD Davis is out there killing it. So I'm going to give the edge to the Reds in terms of winning the division just because of how poor the NL Central is. I think the suitors are the Brewers right behind them. Cardinals are having a really off year.
Cubs are 3 out.
Yep. I'm not sure what's happening with the Dodgers over there. I'm not sure if the Diamondbacks play is sustainable. So that's why I'm kind of holding off on saying, making my answer the Giants. But both teams who have been surprising me. We're talking about the parity in this league right now, and these teams who were not expected to have these seasons are having these seasons, which is great for the game of baseball.
We got my boy Logan Stone. No love for the Cardinals? Hell no. We always talk about those damn Cardinals. This is a good year to avoid talking about them. Hopefully, they're like the team that never dies. So I hope they finally.
We already brought up Yadier Molina. So
yeah, exactly. We already brought him up one more time. He says the Reds fans. Yeah, the Reds have been fantastic, no doubt about it. They bring up De La Cruz, who's just electric. I mean, you talk about just somebody who immediately makes you want to put on the TV. Make him every time he's up to bat watch. I just think it's awesome when you have teams like the Giants and the Reds, really new teams that are kind of getting fresh blood into like some of these old divisions, like seeing the Dodgers make it every year. It's nice having the Diamondbacks and Giants kind of going out a little bit. The Pirates were ahead in the NL Central. I don't think they're sustaining it, but it was nice to see them up there a little bit in the season. So I'm kind of curious how that plays out in the NL. The Giants, though, Case, I mean, my God, dude, they're just absolutely raking. Like, it's almost like the injuries have helped them a little bit.
No, it's kind of
they got to call out all these young guys now.
I know. I mean, the Giants are playing good ball, man. It's kind of weird to watch, because like in the early beginning of the season, it's just like, they're just kind of like treading water a little bit, and then they went on a 3-game, 4-game, 5. You're like, oh shit, they're kind of putting it together, and now it's just like, shoot, they're like right back in the contention. So unfortunately, I don't watch a lot of baseball because I don't have cable, but I definitely check up on like news and alerts and see who's playing well. And all of a sudden, you just like see standings, and you're just like, okay, all right, they must be playing good ball. And I think the Giants, though, I mean, I think it's open. I mean, it's kind of nice to see last night just see the Astros lose on a balk, so that was pretty special.
Oh, that was crazy.
Did you see that, Chris?
That didn't look like a block to me, by the way. Did I miss something?
So I saw the replay of it. Someone posted on Twitter, and his back foot twitched ever so slightly. How the umpire picked that up, I have no idea, but I did see it, and technically by rule, it was a balk. But man, that's a tough break. That is a really
first
tough
balk
break.
in his career too. He went psycho, like
he was livid. Yeah.
Don't flinch. Do not flinch. That is not allowed. Because you just watch it. I watched it like this morning. I was like, man, I don't see it. So that's probably you had to see the replay there.
It was kind of cool too because it's special because Altuve and Bregman are the only two left from that beating the trash cans, and man, they were giving it to him last night.
They were. Yeah, I think Bregman hit a grand slam last night though.
He did.
I think he went deep though last night. Logan, we love you. All right, it will happen one day. All right, it will happen one day. We love you. All right, we got you on that. We got Kerry Wood here. We got Chris there. My guy C Wood bad as we've seen my cards. Just 9.5 out of first. We got time. 9.5. That's not bad. You never know there in the baseball standings. In case our A's just get a little check. 28.5 out. So it looks like I don't like our chances. No, just kidding.
What's going on over there,
dude? It's funny. We ripped on them last week, Dave. We are just so over the ownership, and I feel like Major League Baseball and Manfred, the biggest idiot on the face of the earth, who is just excuse my language, he's a dumbass. He really is. I don't think he speaks very well and represents the game the best way he should. I just get fed up with how owners allow this guy who does not spend money on his baseball team for my whole life, ever. And they just allow him to mooch. The A's made the 5th most money last year. How is that even possible? I don't understand how you can say, yeah, go to Vegas. And then Manfred comes out this week and says, oh, well, you guys had 10 years to draw fans. You've been trading all our best players. Why are we going to continue to give your billionaire money? It doesn't make sense to me. Sorry, that's how I feel.
So, I love it because I've obviously been seeing the movement out there. I know Casey said he was going to the game on Tuesday. Is the strike still happening? Like, are you guys just outlawing the games, or what's the deal with that?
So I went to opening day. Should have gone for the rest of the year because I'm 1-0 so far. But
okay.
But no, when I went, it was like, opening night, opening day. It's like everyone's like, none of this had happened prior to. I mean, there's always speculation about it, but it was just like another year in Oakland. Like they probably will leave. They might leave. Whatever. Been doing this for 20 years, basically. Like it's kind of like the boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm gonna break up with you if you leave me, and no one ever leaves. You know, it's just like we're gonna hate each other but love each other because we have to, and we have 2 kids. We gotta stay together. Like that's how it felt. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, you know what? We're like 60 years old. I want a fresh start. It's like, where the hell did this come from? Like, all right, kids are grown. You don't have to pay alimony, all child support. We're good. It's just a clean break. And that's how it feels right now. And that's why it's so infuriating, is because you, on the whatever side you were on, felt like you poured in more to what they gave you. And now it's just like, oh, so I did all this for you, supported you, and still showed up for the playoff games. That would sell out. Like every year, like I've been to 3 Game 5s, never won one, but they would always show up like 50,000, like as big as the stadium would pack. And it's infuriating right now, to be honest. And going to this game, I am curious that you asked me. I'll see what the numbers are like. It is a Tuesday against the New York Yankees. No Aaron Judge.
There'll be a lot of Yankees fans there.
Yeah, it's going to be.
There'll be a lot of Yankees.
Well, there's going to be green in the the parking lot. I don't know how much in the actual stadium.
It'll definitely be there. We got your guy Amish Country Mets fan. I'm going to be an A's fan. We appreciate that. Hopefully, it's not a Vegas one though. Everybody keeps saying the Vegas, and that's going to be tough for us, man. Like. It's like we like that you love the A's, but we talked about we've been to 150 games. So like we've been to a ton of games there. We had Raider season tickets back in the day with my dad over there. So like the Coliseum for us, it just kind of hits a little bit different. I get that Oakland politics aren't the best in some regards either, but I just feel like the A's never really put time into the ownership justifying any of it either.
So if they do move, are you guys gonna still stick with them, or what's the deal with that?
I'm a Mets. I joke that I'm an Atlanta A's fan now because the A's trade all their players to the Braves basically back in the day. I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know. I don't really know how I'll feel because they're still going to be in Oakland next year, and so like I don't know, and it's not official, even though Manfred says it, but we'll see it.
Personally,
right now, my gut says no, but I don't know.
Yeah, personally for me, it's different than the Raiders leaving. I don't know why. I don't think I'll stay an A's fan because the regime's not. I don't know what it is. I felt more of a tie to the Raiders because they've left before, I guess. So it's kind of like they're just in a different city, but like I still had like Derek Carr leaving was a little different for me because like that's the quarterback that we grew up from Oakland. The A's, they've never really had any players where I've been able to have them for 10 years. You know what I mean? As a fan watching. Yep. So guys that are on the Raiders, I've kind of grew up with them a little bit, like a Derek Carr.
Ellis, Casey.
Other guys, Mark. But yeah, that's how I feel.
Eric Chavez is the last big contract. He's been retired for 10 years. And that was $66 million. And the guy he wasn't even the owner. He just took over the contract there with it. So that's already with the A's on it there. So we're a little frustrated, obviously, here with it. Baseball season is going to be, this is kind of the tight. We're starting to get to the All-Star game here a little bit. So it's a big push. I got a few things here. We're almost kind of coming on an hour here. I don't want to waste too much of your time here this morning, but I got some football I kind of want to run by you real quick if you're all right with that, because you're a Giants fan out there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Purdy or Daniel Jones? I thought this would be a fun one because Purdy only played a handful of games. Jones has been there a couple of years. He got the big contract. Who do you have more confidence in, Chris? Purdy or Daniel Jones? Your boy? Who would you go with?
I don't want to sound like a homer here, but I'm going Daniel Jones just because the situation that he's had to deal with ever since he's gotten drafted has been the perfect crap storm for him. In terms of coaching, in terms of personnel, the offensive line, he's still somehow managed to impress the front office. And I trust those guys in the front office, Joe Shane, his crew, Brian Dable. So if they're impressed with Daniel Jones and what they saw out of him to give him that contract that he got this past offseason, then I'm on board with it as well. Brock Purdy, obviously, had a phenomenal showing. But we'll see what happens. San Francisco is a little bit of a different ball club than the New York Giants right now. I think the San Francisco 49ers are a little bit more well off than the Giants. But yeah, for that reason, I'll go Daniel Jones just as a player goes. But I'm impressed with what Brock Purdy's done as well.
Case, Purdy or Jones?
After watching the Viking game and the Giants playing the playoffs, that kind of changed my mind. I was like, not only Daniel Jones, like, he's just a beast. He's a dog. Like, he just likes to play football. I know Purdy does too. I think limitations are different. What Chris spoke about, the team that he's playing on. I mean, he's basically thrown to 3 number 1 wide receivers on the Giants. I mean, a couple of them stepped up, but talent-wise, you can look across the board. It's just not a pure number 1 like a Deebo Samuel or George Kittle. Is just there's a fall off. But I go with Daniel Jones. I mean, you get picked that high for a reason, and you get picked that low for a reason.
That's why I thought that's why I thought it was going to be an interesting question because Jones has been there. But I think if our guy Brian was here, he would definitely pick Purdy. If our guy Brian was here, he'd take Purdy in a heartbeat.
He probably got lost on that poll.
He did. He got lost on it. Real quick, you're taking advantage of it. Speaking of one of our guys, you got Darren Waller from our Raiders over here. You think over under? He's been hurt for a couple of years. Over under 75 catches there for the Giants.
I'm going over. I think that he's going to be that guy for this offense. Obviously, we got a couple of wide receivers. Hodgins is going to be slotted in there. Shepard's coming back. We got Paris Campbell now, but I think idealistically, Darren Waller got brought over here to be that guy for Daniel Jones. I think that they're gonna get him right. Obviously, the injury is what it is. It's always unfortunate to talk about injuries, but injuries aside, if he stays on the field, I'm going over.
I think honestly, I thought about this and I was like, back and forth. I was like, I think he could be like Jeremy Shockey's Eli Manning, like very athletic tight end. But
that's a name. That's a great name. I haven't heard
Big Shockey guy. I love Jeremy Shockey.
What hair?
I mean, he was a hell of a receiver, but he was down and dirty and big boy too. So I think, and that changed Eli's career. So I think this could be huge for him. Just an easy outlet, throw a 3-yard dig, get 6 out of it, get Saquon putting 4, new chains. So I think it's a big move. I hated it as a Raiders fan, but I got it. But for the Giants to get that, I was like, Daniel Jones, they saw how much he progressed, and in the playoffs, he needed help.
Yeah, no, he definitely. Who do you think will have more wins combined here? The Niners and Raiders. Last year they went 19 and 15 combined. Or the Giants and Jets, they went 16 and 17 combined. Curious here between our two teams, which one are our kind of two area teams? Who do you think will have more wins? Who will combine for more? The Niners or Raiders or Giants and Jets? Casey, what do you think?
Well, like I said last time, I think the Niners, they're going to go. I think what I tell Brian,
6 and 11,
6 and 11, yeah.
So. 6 and 12. I think you're trying to mess with them a little bit there.
Yeah. 6 and 11. The Giants and the Jets.
Like I said, Giants went 9-7 last year.
I hate to do it, but I got to go with the Giants and the Jets. I mean, they do have Aaron Rodgers. The Giants, I mean, the West and the Raiders division is just low.
Come on, Jimmy G.
You got Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, I don't know where to go. I mean, Russell Wilson, who knows? I don't know. But, I just see the flip side. East Coast.
What do you think there?
I'm going Giants and Jets as well. The Giants have a tough schedule. I haven't. My point missing.
Come on.
I'm not.
He's right. He's right.
Believer. I'm not sure if I'm the biggest. What was that?
No, my bad. Go for it, brother.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm gonna go Giants Jets. I think Rodgers, obviously, he is what he is. I'm not sure they're gonna win that division. But they're gonna be certainly better than they were last year with the quarterback platoon that they got going on, Mike White and Zach Wilson. But yeah, I'm gonna go Giants Jets. The Giants' schedules is infinitely harder. They play the AFC East this year, but I'm gonna go Giants Jets. I think I'm pretty confident in that.
It's kind of funny because it really comes to Rodgers, and then I'm kind of with your Giants. Obviously I know I'm kind of on the point where I could see them. I like their coach, but like the Barkley thing, we're still trying to figure all that out with it. As a Raiders fan myself, I appreciate you're right. They do stink. I'm gonna agree. They aren't very good, but I think Jimmy G could help them a little bit more this year than people think. Like I said, I have my funny theory with Jimmy Garoppolo because now everybody says he just wins, right? That's his thing. Well, the players around him have to play better when he's your quarterback. So to me, that is my big theory there with it. I'm going to go Raiders and Niners have more wins.
Hold up. You asked me who would have more combined wins. I never said nothing about the Super Bowl. I think the Raiders going to win this thing. They're taking it all, baby. We're talking you said combined, but they're going to hold down the fort.
What's the with Josh Jacobs?
I don't know. That's hey, dude, you're good at my transition. Stop reading my notes here. I got. What do you think? I got Barkley and Jacobs here. Do you think I think the Raiders should sign them. I know running backs are going extinct. They're like dinosaurs. They are going away. No, and that makes sense because you can lose them so quickly in a season, and then you can find replacements. I mean, I get that, but it is nice to have a really damn good one. I'm not going to say that. And I think Josh Jacobs is a really good running back. I really like the way him as a leader as well. I don't know Barkley as well in terms of how you feel like he connects with the Giants locker room. He came out pretty strong though last week, I believe it was, about some of his kind of holding out deal there. What do you think? Should the Giants, and you can speak on the Raiders too, should they give these guys franchise tags? I believe, or sign them instead of giving them the franchise tag. I believe they both should get long-term contracts. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think so as well. The running back market's a little bit ridiculous in terms of what these guys are getting paid. Obviously, they get banged up. Teams are hesitant to kind of pay running backs nowadays that long-term kind of advanced money. Obviously, the Saquon Barkley situation, there's a lot of comparisons about the CMC deal and what he got and whether Barkley is going to want the same kind of money. Obviously, the Giants are a little bit more strapped for cash right now. I'm not sure what the Raiders situation is looking like. I'm very high on Josh Jacobs as well, but I was curious in terms of what he really actually wanted because I know the Giants put, I think, $13 million a year on the table for Saquon. He denied that, but he also went around and said he wasn't looking for CMC money. So you're talking about maybe a $2 to $3 million difference in terms of their negotiations right now. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think we give Saquon 14, 15. All right, we got to do it. He's a dynamic running back. I think both guys on the list are top 5 running backs. I'm really high on Josh Jacobs. But I think so. It has to be at the right price. Obviously, though, with the market being is what it is, I don't blame these players for kind of holding out and staying their ground and kind of being a little bit more aggressive about it. But ultimately, I think deals do get done. I'm confident the Giants are going to get the deal done with Saquon, but I'm not sure about the Raiders situation with Jacobs just because I haven't been monitoring their negotiations and how the news has been going, but that's how I feel about it.
Casey, what do you think?
Man, our defense is so bad. You have to run the ball to milk the clock. Like, it's been atrocious. Like, I mean, you have to have a good running back, a good game that, like, can slow down.
He's a workhorse.
Maybe 25, 32 minutes off the clock. I mean, if you can do more, we'd love that. But Jimmy G, I think, needs a player like a Josh Jacobs, too. I think that will complement him pretty well. Got Devontae on the outside. So, I mean, I think that's there. Speaking of Barkley, though, I think he's a special player. I mean, we've seen what he is. I mean, when he's healthy, he's just incredible running back.
But that's the concern. Like, you give a running back that money.
Yeah, but I mean, I think everyone got scared off because of Ezekiel Elliott. I really do.
Yes.
I think he's the one that set the bar and then lowered the bar at the same time. Like, he really did. Like, it sucks for the running backs, but that's how it happened. And
well, CMC as well. CMC as well before last season, right? I mean, CMC had his rough patches too in terms of staying on the field. So obviously, it was great to see him turn around for the Niners. But definitely Zeke, 100%. That was just a debacle of a situation.
Yeah.
As we kind of get towards the end of the podcast here, we're going to get to our winners and losers of the week here real quick. I just want to shout out some of the guys that have been commenting in here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We got our guy Tyler. I got, like I said, mentioned Seawood here, Logan, Amish country Mets fan. I've seen him on your show as well. So appreciate you chiming in here in the comments section. Always makes it a little bit more entertaining in that regard. So appreciate you guys taking the time out of your morning to do that. And appreciate you guys supporting the show. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. And we would love to do the same for your channel if you got one as well. So hope you guys are enjoying the show here with Chris from the Sports New York pod there. Be sure to subscribe to his channel. Chris, I told you it's a tradition here on the pod. We do it winners and losers of the week here. Casey, you want to start? I'll give you the start here. You can decide if you go winner or loser. What do you want?
I'm going to go winner first. I'm going with Ty Floyd from LSU, striking out 17. Getting a men's college World Series, tying the record, and then they ended up pulling it off. Home run in the 11th, winning 4-3 against Florida. At 17 Ks and 9 impressive.
And I like how in college they throw like 190 pitches. They don't care about your scouting. They don't care about your arms.
I miss that aluminum sound too, man, from the little days.
Ding, ding. That's a good winner of the week there. Chris, you got a winner of the week here?
I'm going to go the Spurs organization. Obviously it is what it is. They won the lottery. We all know who they are taking, but I think that Victor Wembanyama is going to be that piece for them to go ahead and turn that franchise around. Obviously, a little bit of a rebuild kind of situation there, but I think Victor Wembanyama is going to be really huge for them. So I'm going San Antonio Spurs, getting their guy.
That's a good call there with the Spurs. I had them down as you know with me. I always like to put a few winner and losers out there in the week. So winner of the week, I had the Spurs as well with it. I have my guy here, Jordan Lyles from the Royals. The team was 0-15 with him on the mound, so he finally got a win there. I like how he said it was nice to be able to shake hands with somebody after that. So I thought that was great that he ended up getting a win finally on there. So he's one of my winners of the week. Luis Ariz from the Marlins. I mean, the guy continues to rake. He was just over 400. I think he might be there still at 400 right now. So to me, he's also winner of the week. And then just a comment I heard on that. It made me laugh. Sorry, the immature human being in me is going to come out teenager style here. But we had our guy Grady Dick out there rocking the red suit. And then on ESPN, we had, the lady doing the interviews over there. And you just never will hear this sentence again. Let's go over to the couch where Grady Dick's being interviewed by Monica McNutt. You're just not going to hear that sentence very often in your life. So I don't know what that. I heard that. I just was like, good God, did I just hear that right? So that, to me, I got to put there. I went to the face. Sorry. Yeah, but that is right there. You will not hear that again, Casey. That's a good. So those are my winners of the week there. Let's go to the bad side here. Loser of the week. Casey, let's go back to you for it.
I'm going with the PFL fighters, Nate Schulte and Rashu Manfino. Put up basically a sparring effort. Nate was 25-1. I think the other guys were 17-4, I believe, and it was to go into the playoffs for the fighting. It's kind of like a UFC kind of deal.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they live with each other. They're both their kids' godfathers, and so the fight was basically just an epic failure. And it was just like, it was a tough watch. I watched a little bit of just like what they're talking about. I think me and you would have hit harder, even if we were like just arguing over a bag of Cheez-Its, like, or like, you know, like it was pretty bad. I don't know. I was curious just to like get the thought. I know we're doing winners lose. How would you feel fighting a family member or like your best friend? Would you go balls to the walls, or would you all just be like?
I mean, they got suspended for it, right?
Yeah, no, they're banned. Yeah, no, they yeah.
I mean, to me, if it's your job, you kind of have to go a little bit, like maybe strategically fight out a little bit.
Well, you said a little bit though, so you won't go all the way in.
I don't know. I mean, to me, if you would, if that's what your job is, you got to do it. So that's.
I won't go Mortal Kombat and say finish him, but I mean,
yeah,
I'd be like,
no, I would say you're fighting, right? That's the point of the sport. So I'd say yeah.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'd say you have to go. I mean, the situation is kind of different when you're fighting there for your job, like Darren said. But yeah, I'd say you have to go fulfill that obligation and go pretty hard at it.
Yeah, I'd knock your ass out, Darren.
Yeah, I know you would. Me and Casey would go hard as brothers here. Chris, what do you got for loser of the week?
I'll do two. The Colorado Rockies organization losers. Obviously, last night we saw 25-1 against the Angels. So I'm going to go Colorado Rockies, losers. And a hot take, I hate to do it, but I think the Charlotte Hornets are going to end up losers of the draft. I don't know. If I'm not mistaken, they took Brandon Miller. I don't know if I'm high on Brandon Miller at the NBA level, so we'll see. I'm going to go. But the whole Michael Jordan situation of him influencing that pick, I think he's getting ready to sell off his portion of the Hornets as well. So I'm going to go Hornets losers.
Chris or Seawood, help my guy out here. He's a big Alabama guy. Help him out here. Make him believe in him. Make him believe in him.
I would love to see it, but I just don't know what I saw with him. The inconsistencies. We'll see. The Hornets organization though is a mess, so it's not a really good situation to go.
According to Brandon Miller, they're winning the finals this year. So.
I did see that. And his guy's PG. His guy's PG. That's not a good sign. He said his GOAT is PG, so that's not a good sign.
Playoff P.
I do Miller his first 20 games. I was like, man, he was the second pick. So I don't know. We'll see. But I hear you on that. There is some things, and you're not the only one thinking. That's obviously Scoot Henderson. We thought was going to be the second pick the whole year, and then obviously that changes there at the end. So this could be again one of those legacy picks with the Hornets, passing on one of the better players there. That's a great loser of the week. I also have All-Star MLB All-Star game. The Braves. Nobody stuffs the All-Star ballot better than that fan base. I mean. They're just unbelievable how many, even the guys that are even on the top. I'm like, how is that guy number 3 on the list? Yep. NBA draft coverage, it wasn't the worst, but by the second round, it's just anybody that's watching the second round isn't watching for stories usually at that point. So it'd be nice to have a little bit more hardcore NBA coverage, I guess, if we're going there. So I would like that to improve going forward. I always said Manford, he's on it. You took the Rockies one. That's a good one. Romanowski. Our guy, Bill Romanowski, he's being sued. He owes $15.3 million in taxes. So pay your taxes, people. That's a good thing out there. So those are our winners and losers of the week for episode 141 on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. Chris, man, it was awesome to have you. I appreciate you staying for an hour with us. Appreciate everybody commenting in. But, man, thanks for taking time to do this with us. You're good at it, man. Appreciate it.
This is fantastic. You guys covered it all. I mean, all the sports, all the perspectives. I'm impressed by your knowledge of our East Coast teams as well. So you guys covered it all. You guys are doing great stuff. I appreciate you having me on your platform. Gotta have you guys on my show sometime. You let me know. We can work that out. But this is awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. A lot of fun, man. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it was a blast, man. Great way to start the Sunday morning. Well, afternoon, I guess, almost now for you, but
it wasn't there for him. He's almost at 11. You're almost at noon there. Yeah. Wow, you're getting late.
Almost at noon. Yeah.
I get a sandwich now. I got to get a coffee, and you're about to get a sandwich. There we go. That's great. But like I said, man, you keep up the great work there. You're doing post-game shows on there, and I know how hard that is to do after the game. You have to be timely with it. You have to be prompt with it. You kind of have to know what you're talking about too. You can't just fake it really when you're doing a post-game show and expecting that to go well. So keep up the good work. I know it's a grind at times, and we'll be here supporting you, retweeting your stuff and all that. So till next time here for episode 142, peace.
Peace.